Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a programming language that has been, well, quietly running the world for decades. We're talking about Java. So, let me ask you a question. What's the one language that powers literally billions of devices? You know, the one that's inside your Android phone, driving the huge cloud systems at places like Google and Amazon, and maybe even running the software inside your car. What's the common link?
The answer, as you might have guessed, is Java. It's a language that popped up in the 90s and just completely changed the game for software development. And to really get why it's so important, we have to start with the one big idea that made it all possible.
And that brings us to our first section, the promise that made Java an absolute global phenomenon. Developers call it the write once revolution. See, before Java came along, life for a programmer was complicated. If you wrote a program for a Windows computer, it was basically trapped there. It was totally useless on a Mac or a Linux machine unless you were willing to do a super expensive and time-consuming rewrite. But Java showed up with this brilliant escape plan, the Java Virtual Machine. This idea completely flipped the script. We went from this world of walled-off, expensive code to a brand new reality. Write your program one single time, and this virtual machine would make sure it could run, well, anywhere. This wasn't just a small step up, it was a total paradigm shift. So, how does this magic trick actually work? It sounds a little too good to be true, right? Let's pull back the curtain and take a look at the engine that makes Java's portability a reality. To really get how Java works now, it helps to see how it grew up. The whole journey kicked off way back in 1996 with the first official version, JDK 1.0. Then, a huge leap forward happened in 2014 with Java 8, which brought in modern features that really changed how people wrote Java code. And today, it's still evolving, with new releases all the time, including what they call long-term support, or LTS versions, which are super important because they guarantee the stability big companies need. Okay, so at the very heart of all this is the Java Virtual Machine, the JVM. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a universal translator. You install this one piece of software, the JVM, on your Windows PC, your Mac, a server, whatever. And from that moment on, that device can understand and run any Java program you throw at it. That's the secret sauce. That's what makes Run Anywhere actually work. So how do we get from the code a human writes to something this JVM can actually use? It's a really clever two-step dance. First, a tool called a compiler. You use the JAVX command for this. It takes your human-readable.java file and translates it into this neutral, intermediate language called bytecode. Then, the Java command takes that bytecode, that universal blueprint, and hands it to the JVM on any machine, which then brings the program to life. But here's the thing. Running anywhere is just one of Java's tricks. It's just the beginning. Let's dig into the other superpowers that turned it into such an industry titan. From the very beginning, Java's philosophy was super clear. It wasn't just about being able to run anywhere. It was about being able to run reliably and securely anywhere. Okay, first up, and this is a big one, Java is object-oriented. This is a way of thinking about code by organizing it into objects that model things in the real world. This makes really complex software way easier to build and manage. A key part of this is a concept called inheritance, which is basically an ISA relationship. For example, a programmer is a type of employee. That means the programmer object automatically gets all the standard employee stuff, and then you can add on all the special programmer skills. Next up, you'll hear the term architecture neutral. And really, this is just the official fancy name for that whole write once, run anywhere superpower we've been talking about. It's the core promise of Java, baked right into its DNA. Security is another huge one. This was designed into Java from day one, which is a big reason why banks and other large enterprises trust it so much. See, Java code doesn't just run wild on your computer. It executes inside this protective sandbox created by the JVM. The sandbox basically limits what the program is allowed to do, preventing it from messing with your files or causing other harm. It's like having a built-in security guard for every app. And man, the list of strengths just keeps going. It's robust and high-performing, meaning it's designed to avoid common errors while running surprisingly fast. It's multi-threaded, so it can do many things at once, which is absolutely critical for modern apps. It's also distributed, built to work across networks, and maybe one of the biggest time savers for developers, it comes with a huge built-in library of pre-made code for just about anything you can imagine.
Okay, so we've gone through the history and the theory. Now let's get practical. How do you actually take a piece of Java code and get it to run? You might think it's some complicated process, but believe it or not, once you have Java installed on your machine, getting your first program up and running really comes down to just two simple commands in your terminal. And here they are. The entire process boils down to these two commands. First, javac. That's the Java compiler. It takes your source code and turns it into that universal bytecode we talked about. Then you use Java, the interpreter, which takes that bytecode and brings your program to life. You just compile and then you run. That's the fundamental loop for every single Java developer. So for more than a quarter of a century, Java's been this quiet, reliable cornerstone of our digital lives, powering everything from tiny gadgets to the biggest systems on the planet. It's powerful, it's secure, and it's constantly evolving. So the only question left to ask is, what will you build with it?